what we're in right now, we're in a situation, this is a dangerous situation. It is, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. We're in a situation where the communists control such a gigantic portion of American society, even outside of politics. But let's just focus on government for a moment. The communists are in such control of not just the House, Senate, and presidency, FBI, CIA, DOJ, EPA, IRS. They're in such a position of control there. The Democrats realize this, and they're going to try to do something. And again, I've been screaming about this for a couple years. I could see it coming. They're going to try to now label their political opponents, label you, label me as enemies of the state. Now, why? What's the point? Why would they try to declare you a domestic terrorist? Well, it allows them to use the forces of government to destroy their political opponents. You remember Merrick Garland blatantly lying to Ted Cruz in this little exchange?
Will you commit to this committee that under your leadership, the Department of Justice will not target the political opponents of this administration? Will you commit that that conduct will not be acceptable under any Department of Justice you're leading?
So, absolutely, Senator.
Here's the latest and greatest, and I know this might not get a lot of play today, and maybe the sky will fall again tomorrow and we will forget about it. I want you to pay very close attention to this because this is a lot bigger deal than anybody realizes. This is from the DOJ, a memorandum sent out by Merrick Garland. In recent months, there's been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff who participate in the vital work of running our nation's public schools. While spirited debate about policy matters is protected under our Constitution, that protection does not extend to threats of violence or efforts to intimidate individuals based on their views. And we're just going to pause right there for just a brief moment. Don't worry, I'm going to go on. We're going to pause there for a brief moment. Protection does not extend to threats of violence. Okay, I'm sure you have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. You don't need to be yelling at school board members. You're going to beat them up or something like that. Or efforts to intimidate individuals based on their views. Now, what do you think these school board members, what do you think they consider efforts to intimidate them to be? Have you thought about that? It's all about interpretation. Moving on. The department takes these incidents seriously and it is committed to using its authority and resources to discourage these threats, identify them when they occur, and prosecute them when appropriate. Now, what are you seeing here? What are you seeing? This is exactly what I've been warning was going to happen. The communists now, they understand full well they have complete control of everything. Remember, not the House, Senate, presidency. It's not what we're talking about. They have the entertainment industry. They have the American media. And probably most dangerously, they have all of the federal bureaucracies, including the armed ones. And before we go on here, I just want to make sure you understand something, because a lot of people don't realize this. I spent a lot of time with cops and law enforcement, some FBI agents in my time. And you understand that these guys have the power to completely destroy your life like that, right? You don't have to commit a crime. You don't. If they aim their sights on you and want to destroy your life, they can destroy your life. We now finally are at a place in a nation where parents are awake and they're upset about their kids being masked in schools. They're upset about their kids learning to cut their penis off in the first grade. They're upset about their kids learning about all this Black Lives Matter critical race theory crap. And parents are stepping up at these school board meetings and saying, no, how dare you? The federal government's response is to sic the FBI on these parents, to intimidate them into silence. Do you even understand what is happening right now in this country? You're going to have to start getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And the right has allowed this to take place because the right refuses to use any of its power when it gets its power. And it does this for a bunch of different reasons. One, and this is most often the reason, it's just flat out cowardice. We just have a bunch of spineless, pathetic losers on our side who don't want to fight back. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to get yelled at, so they don't do it. Sometimes it's because they actually get paid by the left and their various leftist institutions, and they don't want to look into things. You'll hear this a lot. You'll hear this from your favorite pundit. Well, probably not your favorite pundit. You'll hear this from right-wing pundits and politicians. You'll hear words like this, phrases like this they learn in high school English class. That's not who we are. Oh, we can't become like them or we lose who we are. I mean, you see what Democrats are doing with their power. They took both barrels of the FBI and pointed them right at their political opponents. Do you remember what Bill Barr said when he was asked about all this? Remember, Bill Barr, he gets appointed Attorney General, and he's appointed Attorney General at a time when he is told the Federal Bureau of Investigation is lying to the FISA court in order to spy on the political opponents of Democrats. Bill, what are you going to do about that? Here's Bill Barr. Well, we don't need a tit for tat.
But this cannot be, and it will not be, a tit for tat exercise. We are not going to lower the standards just to achieve a result. The only way to stop this vicious cycle, the only way to break away from a dual system of justice is to make sure that we scrupulously apply the single and proper standard of justice for everybody. There's a difference between an abuse of power and a federal crime. Not every abuse of power, no matter how outrageous, is necessarily a federal crime. Now, as to President Obama and Vice President Biden, whatever their level of involvement, based on the information I have today, I don't expect Mr. Durham's work will lead to a criminal investigation of either man. Our concern over potential criminality is focused on others.
Of course. We don't want to step on any toes. I mean, I'm sure James Comey under Barack Obama, I'm sure he launched an investigation involving wiretapping Barack Obama's political opponents, and Obama didn't sign off on that. I'm sure he had no idea. Of course he knew. Of course he signed off on all of it. And what do we do when we take power? Hey, we don't want a tit for tat. We can't. Look, we don't want to go after people here. We're going to be better than that. They take power, and they immediately try everything in their power to destroy you and everything you care about. You know why they're winning? Do you want to know why the communists are winning? Why they've taken over every single part of this society over the last 100 years? You want to know why they're winning the game? They're the only ones playing. Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.